Welcome, dear students. We have dealt with a comprehensive view of syllabus in the decoding of syllabus lecture, and today we will touch upon the strategy, the preparation strategy of what to follow, what not to follow when it comes to anthropology. I sincerely urge all the aspirants not to miss this particular lecture, as this will be your base on how to start preparing to score maximum marks in anthropology. Now, coming to why to choose anthropology as your option. But before that, you should know what is anthropology. Now, anthropology by definition is a discipline of infinite curiosity about human beings. The term comes from the Greek word anthropos. Anthropos, which means man or human, and logos, which means study. Now, anthropologists seek answers to an enormous variety of questions about humans. They are interested in both universals and what makes human populations different. They want to discover when, where, and why humans appeared on the earth, how and why they have changed, and how and why the biological and cultural features of modern human populations vary. Anthropology has a practical side too. Applied and practicing anthropologists put anthropological methods, information, and results to use in efforts to solve practical problems. The study of human beings is not an adequate definition of anthropology. However, since it would appear to incorporate a whole catalogue of disciplines like sociology, psychology, political science, economics, history, human biology, and perhaps even the most humanistic disciplines of philosophy and literature. Most of the disciplines concerned with human beings have existed longer than anthropology, and each has its distinctive focus. So when we have so many disciplines studying just humans, what is the need, or why do we need anthropology as a new discipline? There must be something unique about this particular subject. A reason for its having developed and grown as a separate discipline for over a century, and this will be our starting point in understanding why even anthropology came into being. See, when you're studying any particular subject for optional, trust me, that option will be your core. So to make the course stronger, you should have passion for that subject. Please do not choose anthropology just because somebody has suggested it will be scoring, or somebody has suggested it's easy to complete. Choose anthropology if you have the passion to understand, or the curiosity to understand why, where, and how humans came into existence. Because anthropology is one subject where conceptual clarity is very, very important to score good marks. I would suggest that personally you should go through the syllabus. You should have passion for that subject, for any subject for that matter, before you begin an optional. It is a misconception that political science score less or public score less. No, content is what is king. Content is king. So make sure that you have the passion for this particular subject before you begin this. Now, anthropology as an optional subject in the UPSC Civil Services mains exam is a popular choice for aspirants, especially for those with a science and engineering background who don't choose their particular subject as optional, or don't have their particular subject for optional. For example, biotechnology. Somebody who is a graduate in biotechnology cannot choose because it is not part of that 48 optional subjects list in UPSC. Therefore, they go for something like anthropology, which has a little bit of overlap with their particular science or engineering background. Now, it is also an interesting subject and considered scoring by many, so that is just an added advantage. Now, coming to how many candidates take this particular option and what is the success rate? See, why do we have to know about this? I remember telling you that content is king, but please remember this is also a competitive exam. So somebody who has prepared better than you would definitely have a better chance to score better, but that doesn't mean that you will not score well. So this entire guidance process is for you to make sure, for us to make sure that you are that particular standard of anthropology. So going by the trends, in year 2011, only 463 have appeared taking anthropology. Now this has steadily increased thanks to the marks, and in 2017-18 many toppers were from anthropology. So the numbers have increased to almost 1189 in 2019, and the number of candidates recommended is also, it varies from year to year, but it's almost at an approximate 10%. Although the number of candidates who take up anthropology as their optional is not as high as still public administration or geography, but it enjoys a relatively high success rate, which is around 10%. That is one thing you have to keep in mind. Now, many toppers have got single-digit ranks based on anthropology marks. For example, in this chart itself, you can see we have graded this particular chart. These are the in this chart itself, these are the number of candidates recommended, and these are the number of candidates who have appeared. Though it is still going on increasing the number of candidates who have appeared, but even this is also steadily increasing the number of candidates recommended from 61 to 108. That's like almost double. So as you can see, people who choose anthropology, maybe because the questions are direct, or maybe because it's considered as a direct, it's considered as a topic which is very interesting. People have that kind of conceptuality. People are writing better answers. So we will, therefore, many toppers have got single-digit ranks based mainly on their anthropology marks. So now we'll see some of the advantages why anthropology optional is a better fit for you, and better fit for you while preparing and trying to score maximum in UPSC mains. Now in anthropology, the questions which are asked are direct. For example, in applied or political science, for that matter, most of the questions though are about concepts. Most of the questions come in an indirect manner. So to understand the question, to write the answer again in the heat of the exam, people, you will always lose time trying to understand that particular topic or what is being asked. But in this, the problem is mostly not there. In anthropology, the questions that are asked are generally direct. Almost 80% of the question of the paper is what you already know, and you don't have to put your extra mind to it to understand what the examiner is asking you. It is also considered very scoring when compared to many core optional subjects or humanities subjects. It is scientific in nature, so the answers that can be made are more appealing with diagrams, flowcharts, and these also save time while writing answers, and also fetch marks. And this coming to the syllabus, it is all interrelated. Both the papers are interrelated and easy to finish. That means that if you complete 4 months' time with the right strategy and the right study material, then you can easily finish this. And you don't have to, anthropology is not like any other subject like political science where you have to keep it upgraded through current affairs all the time. So, you save all that time by just ensuring that in 4 months you finish the entire syllabus. Now, it is a good option for people with science and engineering background. Because it is scientific in nature, it is mostly based on facts, and people who don't want to take their own subjects as optionals, it is an interesting subject and easy to understand. Also, the performance of the subject has been consistent. This is one more reason why I would recommend people to have a look at this optional, is because performance is consistent from the past 10 years. The option subjects of the other option subjects, the marks of other option subjects have been going up and down and from least to highest. But anthropology has maintained a little bit of consistency when it comes to marks. So that is one other reason why you should choose anthropology. Then coming to the overlap with general studies, when you compare it with political science and public administration or economy, there is the overlap with general studies is quite less. But topics like society, social justice, especially when it comes to tribals or the vulnerable groups, it becomes very easy if you study anthropology. Then coming to in paper 2, welfare of weaker sections. welfare of weaker sections, also the constitutional safeguards for weaker sections, all this also will be covered in anthropology. And I think the greatest advantage of anthropology is an essay. Anthropology gives you a completely different perspective. And when in writing an essay, especially about social subjects like women studies or education or children, anthropology gives you that humanistic way of looking at any particular set of group of people, any community, any culture. So that broadens your horizon to write a much better essay. Therefore, the dimensions in essays can be quoted in a better way if you are an anthropology student. And even ethics, because you'll be studying tribal issues comprehensively, tribal issues can be better handled with anthropology optional, especially in ethics. And even science and tech, a good portion of the latest happenings in biotechnology and biology will be covered. So you can write answers on current events in light of anthropology and score very good marks because of a different perspective. For example, issues like cow slaughter ban, social control, they can be written with an anthropological, humanistic, and holistic basis. It is also true that anthropology option has some disadvantages. Let me spell that out for you. See, when you are going for the pros, we should also understand the cons, so that from this weakness, you have to make that weakness your strength. So what are the disadvantages that you can expect from anthropology is guidance is limited. You have a lot of anthropology institutes right now, but finding the right one is definitely one of the constraints of this particular option. Proper guidance is required. Otherwise, it takes a lot of time to complete the syllabus by self-study, and there is just too much material. And without knowing what and where to study from, you will be bogged down by just textbooks. Then coming to conceptual clarity. This is not a subject where you can just study or mug up and you just put it down. No, this requires a lot of conceptual clarity. And our focus in designing this particular course has been on giving you right guidance and right conceptual clarity. You have chosen the right place by Byju's for undertaking this anthropology option, and I assure you that by the end of this course, these two things will definitely be taken care of. And this weakness of anthropology, choosing anthropology as a disadvantage, will definitely become your advantage. Now coming to preparation strategy. So we have discussed decoding of the entire syllabus, and we come to preparation strategy. See, I will not give you a very huge lecture about how to prepare, but I will give you some 7 key points onto how 7 key to success, 7 points which will make your preparation strategy streamlined, as well as it will be the key to your success and key to you scoring maximum marks. So let's begin with the preparation strategy. Now, how to start? Here comes key to success. Key to success, point number 1. Know the syllabus. Know the syllabus. Go through the UPSC syllabus for anthropology thoroughly. This is your key to performing well in exams. Divide the syllabus into sections so that you can cover it easily without getting bogged down by the kind of material that you have. Even we have designed our course in a similar manner. For example, paper 1, it has 4 different sections, 5 different sections, and we have divided it accordingly so that you have continuity for each section, as well as you can understand the entire section in one go. Okay, then coming to paper 2. So therefore, knowing the syllabus is very, very important. Always remember that your aim to score well in civil services exams and not to become an anthropologist. So it is important that when you know the syllabus, you can restrict yourself to that particular topic. When you're reading from any book of anthropology, always have the relevant syllabus chapter and topic and previous year questions in mind. They will help you to stay focused and will give you an idea of how much to study from each book. Generally, extensive reading is beneficial, but for an IAS aspirant, time is a valuable resource. Therefore, it has to be judiciously optimized to get the maximum returns. And you begin with knowing your syllabus. Every topic you read, you should know, okay, this belongs to this particular syllabus, this particular subtopic, and you just mark it and move on. Do not spend time on any of the extra material unless and until you have, once you clear the exam, if you have the passion for the subject, you're more than free to study at least 3 or 4 physical anthropology textbooks. But for now, please stick to the syllabus. Next point is key to success. Point 2, previous year questions. Why is previous year questions important? See, anthropology syllabus, I said that it is simple, but I did not say it is not lengthy. There are too many topics and too many subtopics. And what will help you focus on what is required is the previous year questions. You must go through all the previous year question papers and get an idea of the most important topics. For example, in chapter of marriage, you have, say, 5 subtopics. But if you look at the previous year questions, 3 of them are repeated almost every year. What do? You focus on all these 3 topics which have recurring previous year questions. That is how you have to begin your preparation. That is how you have to align your preparation. Now you will realize that most of the previous year questions have been repeated a number of times. Hence, it is very important to cover the syllabus along with clarity of understanding, and as well as making 200 to 400 words of notes on each of these subtopics which are repeated again and again. This is the most important thing that you have to ensure. If you do not do this, trust me, you will not get good marks. Okay. Now coming to what to focus on. Now here comes key to success point 3. Focus on getting conceptual clarity. Focus on getting conceptual clarity. If you are a complete beginner in anthropology, your focus must be on gaining conceptual clarity and not on quickly completing the syllabus. Always remember that on the final day, it is your clear understanding of the subject that lets you write good answers. You are under a huge time and mental stress when you're writing answers. And if you do not have conceptual clarity, you'll easily forget what you have marked up. So it is very, very, very important that you understand each and every topic. As I mentioned here, the advisors, what we have designed, the course that we have designed is primarily to give you conceptual clarity on each and every topic. Okay. Now, if you're able to construct a robust foundation of the subject through conceptual clarity, half of the battle is won. Speed should not be a matter at this juncture. Take your time with each topic. Okay. Now, coming to key to success point 4. Note making. From my personal experience, how did I clear or why did I clear UPSC mains or UPSC itself is because of note making. Let me tell you, note making is the most important thing for the subject. The notes must be rich and comprehensive in content, and for this you can start with one standard core book, or for this you can start with the PPTs or the topics that we are going to discuss, and one standard book, and you can slowly add relevant content to whatever I teach you to this particular notes that you make. Do not ever rely on the notes prepared by someone else, no matter even if that is an IAS topper or a seasoned faculty. I myself would say that please do not copy whatever I am saying in your lectures or whatever PPTs I provide. You can always make that as a reference for additional content and further enrichment of your own notes, but it is always advisable to prepare your own. Try to write the theories in your own simple language and try to simplify the complex topics in your notes. Link them with day-to-day examples. And when you make, one more thing about note making is, see, you will always have something to add. What I used to follow is, I used to take the paper in note making. Okay, I used to put it in landscape mode, and I used to divide this page into 2. Here, I would start making notes, and whatever I feel is I have to add, I used to leave this space blank. to add whenever I feel some important point has to be added. Do not write the same thing again and again. But by following this method, you can cover entire thing in that 2-3 pages. Okay. And also one more thing is that draw the diagrams and illustrations whenever and wherever required. Always keep some extra pages or space while making notes for a particular topic or chapter. See, when it comes to flowcharts for a particular topic, say easy way to remember. One more easy way to remember I will tell you. You have one particular topic. Okay. In this topic, you have the definition, you have the thinkers, you have the theory, then you have applications, then you have case studies, then you have criticism. So these parts, see, drawing a flowchart like this for each thing will help you make a mental map of the particular topic. So this will be easy once you make very comprehensive notes like this first, and then when you revise, make a short note or make a precise or succinct or brief note of whatever you need to remember in this particular flowchart. So when you go for the exam, when you have when you have to revise, only one glance at this flowchart should give you all the details you require, and you should everything should be fresh in your mind. Okay. This will definitely help in easy revision and also is a must-have for scoring good marks in anthropology. Because the syllabus is huge, let me tell you, you cannot mark up everything and think that you'll retain it. You need to revise, and this is the best way to revise. Now, coming to the do's and don'ts, and we now come to key to success, point number 5. Answer writing. Please do not take this answer writing lightly. Answer writing is a skill. Answer writing practice is a must if you want to score good marks. No matter you might become a specialist in that subject, and you will be you can also get a PhD degree in that subject. But that 3 hours of exam and 3 hours of answer writing will determine your fate for the future. And therefore, even though you have become a specialist in any subject that you choose as an optional, it is important that you practice answer writing. Your answers must be always divided into sections, like say definitions, introduction, explanation or body, conclusion, etc. When citing something, try to mention the name of researcher or anthropologist whose works you're referring to, and also its criticism by other scientists. When you put that thinkers in anthropology, that is when you have value add to your answers. So we have also made sure that in answer writing, when we finish any particular topic, we have taken 1 or 2 previous year questions, and we have in this course itself, we have explained this previous year questions and how to write it and what to write, so that you'll have a base to compare your answer writing with. Then also one more important thing is subheadings. See, examiners look at almost many papers in a day. What makes it or what makes your answer stand out from everybody else? Everybody has the same material. Everybody has the same amount of content. What will make your answer a highlight is giving proper structure to your answers. If you can give proper structure to your answers and it makes it easier for the examiner to correct, they will be impressed. They will also make the answer more presentable and neat, and it is very, very important. One more thing in answer writing is case studies. Case studies are very important in anthropology. Include as many as case studies as possible in your answers. You can, for example, you can write about Criminal Tribes Act while answering questions about cultural relativism. Here you can talk about how the act equated a sedentary life with civilized life and grouped many nomadic tribes as criminals by birth, and this stigmatized that whole section and even future generations as well, and they are still dealing with that kind of stigma. So, please try to ensure that in whatever case studies that you collect or that you write, you interlink it with 2-3 concepts from the same paper. I have ensured, or even I have designed this particular course, be it paper 1 and the faculty from paper 2, we have designed this course in this such a particular manner where we've given you multiple case studies for each topic. So please utilize the same, and you can also research your own. Now coming to key to scoring. So we have seen the key strategies. Key to scoring is very simple. 1. Now we come to the key to success, point number 6. The first and foremost key to success or key to scoring is time management. As I have mentioned before, you may be a specialist in that particular subject. You may have very good knowledge, but if you cannot manage your time in the exam hall, you can easily get carried away and tend to write more about one particular topic. You will definitely lose, because not answering even a 10 marker will easily make sure that you will not be selected. So your strategy should be to complete the paper on time. Complete the paper on time at any cost. Every question is important. And for this, you have to have answer writing practice very rigorously. And I will give you one more easy way to do this answer writing practice. For a 10 marker, do not spend more than 5 minutes, maximum 7 minutes to answer it. For a 15 marker, 10 minutes should be your time. For a 20 marker, 12 to 15 minutes. If you keep a timer and follow this, and also make ready-made answers from your notes, then you can achieve this. So please make sure that you do this. Now coming to the next key to scoring, coming to the last key to success point, that is point number 7. Choose answers or choose the questions wisely. Choose those questions which you can answer the best. If you can write better sociocultural answers, don't leave them to write some physical anthropology answers. There is no there is no comparison. People say that try to attempt more physical anthropology because it is more fact-based, but diagrams are also there. That also takes time. But if you're good at sociocultural anthropology, then might as well choose the content. Okay, so if you have the content, you please choose those questions which you think that you are good at. Do not go by what others think. Now, so we've seen 7 key points to success, and these will definitely help you maximize your marks in your anthropology paper. Now we will go to the basic book list. However, the PPTs and explanations that we have designed over this course were comprehensively made by covering all these books. However, it is always better to have a set of basic books in order to ensure that one has enough content on any topic. So coming to the basic book list for paper 1, introducing sociology from NCERT class 11 will give you a good head start or good introduction to this particular subject. Then when it comes to sociocultural anthropology, N.K. Beth, D.N. Mazumdar, T.N. Madan, these are important reference books. But trust me, sociocultural part has been comprehensively covered with every case study that you require in the PPTs itself. So please remember that if you feel that any topic is not covered wholly, you can go for these reference books. Otherwise, I have collected all this data and made the PPTs for you. Then coming to anthropological theories, Upadhyay Pandey and Makhanja are 2 very important books which will serve as your base. Then D.K. Bhattacharya for Indian history, very, very, very important book. This is to cover chapter 1.8. Then coming to physical anthropology, you have Enath, which is your base book. Then you have Essentials of Physical Anthropology and Telugu Academy books, which help you understand each topic. These Telugu Academy books are designed in such a way where each topic is according to anthropology UPSC syllabus, so you can blindly follow these books. Then Anthropology by Ember and Ember and Haviland. So these two are very interesting social cultural textbooks. So these, whenever you have time, you can get many more case studies from these two particular books. And I would say the most important resource is this: IGNOU's MA course of Anthropology and EPGP Pathshala. So these two have covered every topic in anthropology. At least the theory part, they're very, very good at. And you can choose these kind of textbooks for getting the case studies. So, but as I've mentioned, I have culminated all these book lists and in designing your PPTs and designing your lectures. So please make sure that you finish the lecture first. And if you still feel that you need a little bit of reference or something like that, you can go to these books. Before that, please do not start studying, because understand the concept first. Now coming to the book list for paper 2, you have Nadeem Hussain, Indian Anthropology, one of my favorite books. Then Tribal India by Nadeem Hussain, again, very, very, very important book for Tribal India. One comprehensive book to cover entire Tribal India part. Indian Society, NCERT Class 12. And you also have one book by Nitish Singhania on sociology, and this covers caste system and sociology topics which overlap with anthropology. So you can have a look at that as well. Then Social Change and Development in India, NCERT Class 12, the Zaza Committee report, then Tribal Culture of India by LV Vidyarthi, Tribal Ministry website, and again IGNOU MA course for anthropology. This also comprehensively covers the entire portion of Indian anthropology. But again, I urge you to go through your lectures first, and then for reference use these particular books, because you can drown yourself in these books. So it's important that you have, as I mentioned, knowing the syllabus and conceptual clarity according to each topic. So with this, we come to the end of our session. And to conclude, we can say that the anthropology optional is an optional that can be considered as the most engaging and interesting due to its scientific orientation. Personally, I've learned a lot about us humans as as biological species, as cultural species, and there is at every turn and every topic you'll find something enriching. The subject can also help you fetch more marks and save you to the final phase of exam if you write the answers with more quotes, diagrams, and integrate static with the dynamic section. So with all these, keep success. I wish you all the very best and welcome to this particular anthropology course. And our journey, I hope, will end in a huge success for each and every aspirant who has taken up this course. Thank you and have a nice day.